we were just talking about, as you're coming on, Diana, just talking about the moment we decide to up level, it's amazing what we can create. We'll create all the reasons to not up level, right? And so we can look at the isness of the situation, not judge it. And I love, Diana, like you, I don't like the language of push through, but sometimes that's really what we need to do, is do it anyway. And that can be a challenge for those of us who have suffered from burnout. The concept or the idea of pushing through can be scary. I have false fear, and I'll say false fear around pushing through, because I suffered from chronic. Let me rephrase that one. Hang on, I don't want to own that shit anymore. In my past, part of my story was a diagnosis of chronic adrenal fatigue. And so when it comes to pushing through, I'm in awareness. So sometimes I have to work through the mental part of that, the emotional piece to that. And so part of that is because I have always been a doer. Part of doing, if we're taking inspired action, that will feel different than taking action to show our value and our worthiness. I think that's really the key, right? When in my past, and notice how I'm being so careful. I really don't want to own that part of my story anymore. So in my past, I was working towards proving my value and worthiness to others. And so I was in this constant state of doing versus sitting within my body and not asking my brain what to do, but to ask my intuition. Now, my intuition speaks to me either through my body, because I'll ask that, but my intuition also speaks through me through a knowing. And everyone will have a different way that your divine self will speak to you. And your way is the best way for you. So it doesn't matter, right, how that works for anyone else. And so that's so important for you to realize. I believe if we spent less time asking our brain pan what to do and more into settling into, right? And our body is a part, we're like mind, body, and soul, or mind, body, and spirit. We need all three, right? It's a trifecta, it's a triad. We need all three. I believe that when we tap into those three essential powers, we're taking inspired action. If I'm just using my brain, I'm taking action. And that's the distinction for me, how I know if I'm taking action or inspired action, right? Because I can take action, like that. I also find, though, then I also can be led to overwhelm easier, maybe even faster, if I'm only using my brain, right? And it will be the judgment, it'll be the ego, the id, the I that judges whether or not I'm taking enough action, right? If I'm doing enough. Whereas if I'm taking inspired action, I'm just led to, okay, now we'll do this, and now we'll do this, and now we'll do this. And so the difference between action and inspired action from my point of view is action is just me doing stuff. It's like my brain telling me, do this, do this, do this. And inspired action is me settling into and taking moments. So I'm working with all three of my power centers, right? My head, my heart, my soul. So mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, soul. And it feels way different. It feels way different. Part of what happened was I slowed down a little bit in my action, and that was difficult for me. I also learned, as a reflector, I'm supposed to take 30 days to make a decision, like major decision. So that really blew me away when I heard that, and it made sense. And so, but following those three pieces really does, for me, has made a huge difference in the unfolding. Sometimes it doesn't unfold as fast as I want. I can be fairly impatient, right? I want it now. Now that I've made this decision, I want it now. I don't want like 10 days or 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. And so, I find that, and that's the work that I have to do, is this opportunity of, allowing it to unfold, to germinate, right? To germinate the way it's meant to germinate. I mean, I can force things, and then the unfolding the process is a bit messier for me. It feels forced, and the outcome is usually not what I desire. And so if I just let it unfold in its natural way, and also being in awareness, so this is the balance, right? Being in awareness of, am I procrastinating or am I self-sabotaging? And this is when I can use my intellect. I can use my senses, my 5 senses, to guide me. And part of the challenge that we have, of course, is that we use our 5 senses to guide us more so than our mind, body, and soul, right? So it's like I see something and I take action, versus I'm feeling into something and use mind, body, and soul. I hear something and take action, right? So somebody says something to me, I take action, which is usually a reaction, versus if I take the time to like think about it and I can respond. For me, a response is inspired action, because I'm taking the time to feel in, what that looks like. And the outcome then is often different for me. And I'll just give you a really simple example. So one of the things that I do is the Clarity Confidence Connection Summit. And I put a post in our Facebook group welcoming what's called the founding members. And so I put a post welcoming the founding members. And it was a couple of weeks ago, and it took me an hour and a bit to do something so simple. But every time I would upload someone's photo, and another photo would get dropped for whatever reason. And rather than, letting it go for the moment and going back to it, I was determined, right? I made a commitment. It's on my task list. I'm gonna get it done. And that's not a bad thing. That was my state of mind. Right? I gotta get this done. And so I did it. And then 2 days ago, someone had made a comment on it, and I happened to see it because it didn't tag me. And one of the founding members' photos got dropped when I saved it. And the comment that she wrote was, I thought I was a founding member too, and that kind of like that girl emoji, and kind of like, eh. And I immediately felt bad, right? That because I had quadruple checked that work, thought it was there. The difference was I felt bad. I didn't feel guilt or shame, right? I felt bad because I made a mistake, but I also gave myself the grace of, it was an error. And then I went into complete empathy for her, because I was like, what state of mind is she in, where she felt like she couldn't reach out to me and say, hey, I noticed that you missed me, like missed my name, or any other, there could be any other option. Now, I'm not judging her at all. And what I'm sharing with all of you is that in this action, Ranchelle would have immediately reached out and apologized in a different way. I did immediately reach out and I did apologize, but I apologized in a different way. And then I was inspired to make a note for the Clarity Confidence Connection founding members, and thinking we need to have like some sort of protocol in place where we're working on our values and our mission statement and our vision statement for Clarity Confidence Connection, but we also need a guideline for the founding members on this is how we behave, right? Meaning, if we have a problem with someone, we don't go to like the group, right, and say, I have this problem. And again, I'm not sure that if that's I have no evidence that she felt bad or left out. I had a feeling. And so I trust my guts, right? And then I messaged her and apologized, and then I put her photo up. And then yesterday, someone put up, oh yeah, you forgot this person too. But a different energy, just kind of like, a heads up. So again, just understanding that I experienced this, right, mistake. And for someone who used to be have the thought of I can't be wrong, that would have been devastating. Like 2 mistakes, right? Like slay me now. And now it's just like, oh, that's interesting. 2 people. And the second person's friend said, oh, what about this person? So just the reason why I experienced it was because there needs to be a protocol in place. And so I wouldn't have thought of putting guidelines in for the founding members and how the founding members should communicate when, unless this mistake happened. So that I moved into gratitude, right? About, how grateful I was that I was having this experience, and it could have been so much worse. Like there's a million other ways that could have played out, and it could have been a lot worse. And I was just really grateful that it was just this simple thing. And then asking for forgiveness energetically from the 2 people, right? And then I'll have conversation with the 2 people. So just every time we have experiences, we can look at it through that lens of what's the opportunity that I have here, right? And every experience. And I think I'm sensing that sometimes we just kind of go through life robotic like, and we have an experience and we just dismiss it as nothing at all. Or even if it's a really big experience, we might deal with the thing, but we don't deal with the root cause. We don't, and deal with is kind of not the best word, but we don't explore the root cause, right? And so I could even explore this further. And if this person is a reflection of me, and she's feeling left out and not belonging, and if I say, okay, she's my mirror, this woman's my mirror, and she was like, kind of feeling, like emoji, I guess I'm feeling left out. It was also a great opportunity for me to go, is there anywhere in my life that I'm feeling left out or that I don't belong? And at the time of that post, I did have an experience where I was feeling left out. So then that's another underlying meaning for me is feeling left out. And what do I do when I feel left out? Do I respond or react that way? How can I show up differently? And again, sharing this with you because every experience, if you desire, you could, right, unpack that, unfold that, take a look at it. Your creations and your manifestations are not a mistake. And we can stay in judgment of them or feeling really bad. And again, not to dismiss our feelings, not to repress our feelings or suppress our feelings, but kind of lay it out on the table before you and go, wow, that's so awesome, right? So awesome that I created missing 2 people, 2 founding members now. And I have this thing about not belonging. And so, right, is that still there, or is it showing me that that's less spicy for me, and that mistakes can happen? So I can look at when I feel left out, perhaps that's not intentional, perhaps it was a mistake. Like there's just a whole incredible amount of data, of information that you can gather from every experience that you have, if you feel called to. So it's not even something you have to do, but if you feel called to do that, right? And so life is just so incredibly beautiful. I mean, it's just, we have this amazing opportunity for the creation and manifestation. When you really start to accept the divine within you, it just unfolds so beautifully. Even said mistakes are opportunities of growth, love, so much, so much. and even Groundhog Days, right? When you have those patterns of behavior over and over again, rather than judging them, just be in awe of them. Like, oh, that's so cool. That's a pattern that I create over and over again. And I'd like to get to the root of that. And so then, you can explore that. And so, so I have the opportunity to share that with you. The next thing I want to share with you is around sales. So if you, have a business, or even if you don't have a business, if you're in a profession, I mean, we're really and truly, we have, we're constantly in a place of selling. And so some people can be really uncomfortable with that word. And so I just want to have you explore, if you're feeling uncomfortable around that. Let me rephrase that. Those of you who are feeling uncomfortable around that word, to settle into your body, and where are you feeling it, and what's the words associated with it, and what meaning do you give selling, salesperson, all of those things, and explore what that is. A tool. And there is probably a million books on sales, truly. And one of my favorites, it's in a story, and this is an oldie as well. You'll notice that a lot of the books that I read are old. Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And I think, is this from 1930? Maybe not quite so early. Originally. Oh, nope. So not quite that old. 1968. So not quite that old. And so Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And so it's in a story. And so it talks about principles of salesmanship in a story. It's an easy read. It's profound. But if you just read it to read it and you didn't embody it or take the time to what does this actually mean? It would kind of go in one ear and out the other, because it doesn't give you step one, do this, step two, do this, here's how to overcome objections. It's not a how to, but versus like a how to do, but a how to be. And I want to share this with you, just part of the chapter. And I'm going to read it because I don't want to lose the interpretation if I just shared it with you from my perspective. And so this is from chapter 11. It says, I am nature's greatest miracle. Since the beginning of time, never has there been another with my mind, my heart, my eyes, my ears, my hands, my hair, my mouth. None that came before, none that live today, and none that come tomorrow can walk and talk and move and think exactly like me. All men are my brothers, yet I am different from each. I am a unique creature. I am nature's greatest miracle. Although I am of the animal kingdom, animal rewards alone will not satisfy me. Within me burns a flame which has been passed from generations uncounted, and its heat is a constant irritation to my spirit to become better than I am. And I will. I will fan this flame of dissatisfaction and proclaim my uniqueness to the world. So, side note, the reason why we are dissatisfied is because we are meant to be. We're meant to be dissatisfied. There's nothing wrong with you for seeking more or wanting more. None can duplicate my brushstrokes. None can make my chisel marks. None can duplicate my handwriting. None can produce my child. And in truth, none has the ability to sell exactly as I. Henceforth, I will capitalize on this difference, for it is an asset to be promoted to the fullest. I am nature's greatest miracle. Vain attempts to imitate others no longer will I make. Instead, I will place my uniqueness on display in the marketplace. I will proclaim it. I will sell it. I will begin now to accent my differences, hide my similarities. So too will I apply this principle to the goods I sell. Salesmen and goods different from all others, and proud of the difference. I am a unique creature of nature. I am rare, and there is value in all rarity. Therefore, I am valuable. I am the end product of thousands of years of evolution. Therefore, I am better equipped in both mind and body than all the emperors and wise men who preceded me. But my skills, my mind, my heart, and my body will stagnate, rot, and die, lest I put them to good use. I have unlimited potential. Only a small portion of my brain do I employ. Only a paltry amount of my muscles do I flex. 100-fold of more can I increase my accomplishment of yesterday, and this I will do beginning today. Never more will I be satisfied with yesterday's accomplishments, nor will I indulge any more in self-praise for deeds which in reality are too small to even acknowledge. I can accomplish far more than I have, and I will, for why should the miracle which produced me end with my birth? Why can I not extend that miracle to the deeds of my today? I am nature's greatest miracle. I am not on this earth by chance. I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth, will I apply all of my efforts to become the highest mountain of all, and I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. I will increase my knowledge of mankind, myself, and the goods I sell. Thus my sales will multiply. I will practice and improve and polish the words I utter to sell my goods, for this is the foundation on which I will build my career, and never will I forget that many have attained great wealth and success with only one's talk, delivered with excellence. Also, will I seek constantly to improve my manners and graces, for they are the sugar to which are all attracted. I am nature's greatest miracle. I will concentrate my energy on the challenge of the moment, and my actions will forget all else. The problems of my home will be left in my home. I will think not of my family when I'm in the marketplace, for this will cloud my thoughts. So too will the problems of the marketplace be left in the marketplace. And I will think not of my profession when I'm in my home, for this will dampen my love. There is no room in the marketplace for my family, nor is there room in my home for the market. Each I will divorce from the other, and thus will I remain wedded to both. Separate must they remain, or my career will die. This is the paradox of the ages. I am nature's greatest miracle. I have been given eyes to see and a mind to think, and now I know a great secret of life, for I perceive at last that all of my problems, discouragements, and heartaches are, in truth, great opportunities in disguise. I will no longer be fooled by the garments they wear, for my eyes are open. I will look beyond the cloth, and I will not be deceived. I am nature's greatest miracle. No beast, no plant, no wind, no rain, no rock, no lake has the same beginning as I, for I was conceived in love and brought forth with a purpose. In the past, I have not considered this fact, but it will henceforth shape and guide my life. I am nature's greatest miracle, and nature knows no defeat. Eventually, she emerges victorious, and so will I, and with each victory, the next struggle will become less difficult. I will win, and I will become a great salesman, for I am unique. I am nature's greatest miracle. And so each chapter is short and sweet like that. It's very, very tiny, but it's really, really profound. Now, as always, take what you like and leave the rest, right? So if part of the message doesn't resonate with you, so be it. But if you're in resistance to any of those words, an opportunity for you is to dive into that resistance. What am I resisting? Right? So the words like win, we talked about that last week, right? Winning and losing, because my mind goes to winner and loser. But that's not what he's talking about. He's just talking about us accepting, and each one of us will have our own interpretation of this. But for me, when I read that, it was for me to accept that I am nature's greatest miracle. I am a miracle. You are a miracle. There are no mistakes. We can't fuck this up, right? And so every day we have an opportunity to go forth and share our passion, right? And so if we have a problem with the word selling or sales, there's a lower density energy attached to it. I do encourage you to, yes, to absolutely change the word if need be, but to delve into what that energy means for you, right? I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. Right? When I was born, so my dad worked at the Sand Store, is called, in Saskatchewan, when I was born, and he's a manager there. So he was start sales, right? Then he moved and he was ownership with a furniture store, and then he became a partner in a hotel. So all of my life, I've been around salespeople, and to me, it was just, you're fulfilling a need. That, to me, that's what sales is. Someone needs something, and the need needs to be fulfilled. And I, or at least someone that I know, I'm pretty confident can fulfill those needs. So yesterday, in a conversation with Candace, who is one of the co-founders of the Clarity Confidence Connection, we were talking about this, and she said, you're great at sales. And I said, and she's never really been around me when I've been selling. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, you're constantly, someone needs something, Ranchelle, and you're constantly there to, like, hey, I can help you, or I know someone who can help you. And I giggled, because to me, that's not selling, right? And so I paused. I thought, yeah, I suppose that really is, right? And but for some people, selling is convincing, right? And so for me, selling's not convincing. Convincing is convincing. Selling's not convincing. Sharing a product or a service or an opportunity or a connection, to me, is not. But if we looked at really what the definition of sales was, yeah, that's probably true. It probably is that. And so we have this opportunity then to share, to sell, our products, our services, our connections at all times. But there's a resistance to it. There might be a reluctance, to doing that. And that's where the message is for us, is what does this, why the reluctance? And we'll ask that differently, because if we go into why, we're going to go into our, into our brain. For me, there is a difference in self-promotion and selling. And as I started to dig into this, as I'm creating the Sacred Art of Business Academy, I started to see that self-promotion, when coming from a place of lack and a lower density, won't feel good to us. But promotion, we have no problem promoting others, or promoting love, or promoting food, like restaurants or concerts or anything like that, even if it's to go with us. So there is a bit of diciness into the self-promotion. Now, in the human design world, some people are less likely to want to self-promote than others, right? And so that can be a part of it as well. I think, though, the energy around the self-promotion, what I'm starting to see is the energy, the lower energy. So if I don't feel good about self-promotion, I can look back at different times, and I can see, I think I was in a lack state, right, that day. So again, just for things for you to be aware of. And so again, Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world, that's the book. He has a series of books that I love, because they're all like this. They're all simple, right? Simple and profound. And can have, if you study it and embody it, can have some profound effect on how we show up, right? And then we get to do the work around the language, around what that means for each one of us. So I'm just going to stop the recording. Anybody have anything they want to add?